Here I can see the grand concept of freedom and can only hope that everyone could know it as I do. By Lloyd Litcher.
Thank you for listening to Essential Libertarianism. You can check out the archives of all of our episodes at essentiallibertarianism.com. And you can subscribe to future episodes on any podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, and more. This has been a Pax Libertas Productions podcast.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to.
The Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,289. Silver at $14.99, and Bitcoin is trading around $4,131. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at InnoScale.net. In the news, President Donald Trump's threat to close the southern border was met with criticism and concern from politicians, activists, the public, and Pope Francis. Trump is taking the action, he said, because of what he believes is a crisis in drug smuggling and human trafficking. In remarks to reporters Sunday, Pope Francis said that Trump and people who think the way the U.S. president does about migrants are ultimately trapping themselves in an inhumane situation.
Le persone che preferiscono costruire dei muri.
The comments preceded a tweet made by the Pope Saturday, in which he celebrated the rights of migrants to self-determination. Acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney, speaking to ABC News anchor John Carl Sunday, said that unless something dramatic changed, the closure would happen this week.
Democrats didn't believe us a month ago, 2 months ago, when we said what was happening at the border was a crisis, a humanitarian crisis, a security crisis.
The measure to close the border comes as the Trump administration plans to cut aid to Central American countries, a move that experts argue is almost certain to increase, not curtail, the number of immigrants at the border. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices, with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybravebotanicals.com. And right now, Liberty Beat listeners can save 10% by using promo code SNLS at checkout. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. Actor Nick Cannon has announced that he will be picking up where slain Grammy-nominated artist and documentary filmmaker Nipsey Hussle left off. The Free Thought Project reports that Cannon posted a photo of himself and Hussle to Instagram Monday, noting that Hussle will never be silenced and that he, Cannon, is going to pick up the baton to finish this marathon. Hustle was gunned down in front of his Los Angeles clothing shop Sunday afternoon. He had been working on a documentary about Dr. Sebi and his claims of curing cancer and AIDS, which caused many to speculate that the documentary was the reason for Hustle's murder. Cannon, on Instagram posts, proudly exclaimed that, quote, "They can't kill us all," end quote, and there is, quote, "unfinished king business," end quote. A pro-Israel New York lawmaker has prompted outrage by tweeting that Palestine does not exist, drawing criticisms of racism and Islamophobia. The Mind Unleashed reports the incendiary comments have come under heavy fire on Twitter, and accusations of Islamophobic hypocrisy have been directed at U.S. officials, who have failed to denounce the comments in the same way they denounced Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar. Brooklyn Councilmember Coleman Yeager tweeted, quote, "Palestine does not exist. There, I said it again. Also, Congresswoman Omar is an anti-Semite. Said that too," end quote. Yeager's remark was part of a Twitter exchange with a blog writer. The author of the blog slammed the pro-Israel lawmaker for calling Congresswoman Omar an anti-Semite. Yeager hit back by repeating the racist trope that Palestine does not exist. The remark, along with the notion that there is no such thing as a Palestinian people, is part of a racist narrative that has been used to deny 11 million Palestinians their right to self-determination. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
After briefly reviewing several documents outlining his parents' dire financial circumstances today, 23-year-old Wesleyan University graduate Zach Wallace told reporters he had, quote, absolutely no clue how his mother and father are going to dig themselves out of the $35,000 of student loan debt they incurred to pay for his college education.
I mean, this is going to be really hard on my parents. When I was in college, I just assumed that, they would pay off my student loans within a few years of me graduating. But I never realized how expensive college is going to be for them.
Wallace, who graduated with a film studies degree in 2012 and has since had 2 unpaid internships, told reporters that from the way prevailing interest rates are trending, his parents could easily be paying off his debt for the next quarter century.
They're going to be paying for the rest of their lives. And on top of it all, they have to help me out with my rent, too. I mean, it sucks. It really, really sucks.
This is the Onion News Network.
All right, welcome. This is the Call to Freedom. It is April the 3rd, 2019. And I am your host, as always, Arya DeMesso, joined in the studio today by
Michael Hampton.
And, but I got to tell you, this thing coming out of the UK that I posted to our Telegram group earlier, just there's so much room for discussion in there that we absolutely have to lead with it. Plus, it does seem like the people of the United Kingdom are just absolutely insane.
Oh, it certainly does seem like that some days. Well, most days.
I mean, this day in particular.
This isn't Brexit either, is it? This is something else.
Totally unrelated to Brexit, and I'm not sure how to even get into this. Luckily, mirror.co.uk has given us a headline that accurately conveys the issue. A judge is to decide if a man can keep having sex with his wife of 20 years.
Okay.
Now, as far as headlines go, that one's pretty slanted because the truth is that the court is going to decide whether the man can continue having sex with his wife, who has learning difficulties, as her carers raise concerns over her mental capacity.
Do they think she's not capable of consent?
That's exactly their contention, is that she's not capable of consenting anyway. And I have to be honest, based on what the dude has said, he's a little bit rapey. So I do understand where they're coming from. I don't think the state should be involved. Certainly not. But he does for some bizarre reason. So let's get into that. If this enormous ad will go away. Okay. I don't know what's going on here. It's a stupid survey from Google. That's what it was, blocking out every bit of the actual article. So a judge in a specialist court might have to decide whether a man can keep making love. I hate how they're using the word keep there. I don't know why they didn't insert continue instead. It would make more sense.
Yeah, well, it's simpler language.
Continue making love to his wife of more than 20 years. The woman has learning difficulties, and social service bosses with responsibility for her care say there is evidence that her mental health has reached a stage which means that she no longer has the capacity to make decisions about whether she wants to have sex. So they want a judge in the Court of Protection, which considers issues involving people who lack the mental capacity to make these sorts of decisions, to make a ruling in the case. Now, I want to be surprised that the United Kingdom has an entire court system designed around figuring out the limits of a person's mental capacity, and who in the hell do they think they are to make these sorts of determinations about people in the first place? But
they're the state.
They're the UK. They're
That's
nuts.
what they do.
Yeah. Lawyers representing social service bosses have suggested that a judge might have to make an order barring the man from continuing to have sex with his wife in order to ensure that the woman is not raped.
Oh, you can't have sex with your wife anymore because you might rape her. Okay.
Well, she might not want to have sex, right? And she might just say yes because of whatever learning disability, mental disability she happens to have, even though she doesn't legitimately want to have sex. She's mentally impaired enough where her yes just could be interpreted as being an automatic yes to whatever question she's asked, right?
Okay.
So that's how it could become rape. Mr. Justice Hayden has considered issues at a blah, blah, blah. The judge was told that the man had offered to give an undertaking not to have sex with his wife. Now, that may be some UK slang or something, but what I interpret that to mean is that he was like, I will try to resist having sex with her. I will give it my best effort. That's how I interpret that.
That's probably what he meant by it, too.
But the judge said he wanted to examine evidence in detail and hear arguments from lawyers representing the woman, the man, and the counsel involved before making any decisions. And this is about whether or not a man can have sex with his wife. A specific man can have sex with his wife of 20 years. The judge said the man might be put in a situation where he could face prison if he breached an order or an undertaking not to make love to his wife. Okay, so it's apparently some legal thing, the undertaking.
Yeah.
He also suggested that an order would be difficult to police. You think?
Yeah, it might be.
And here is where it really just gets nuts. I cannot think of any more obviously fundamental human right than the right of a man to have sex with his wife, and the right of the state to monitor that.
What?
Yeah.
The right of
it was the first part that made me go, what? Is this guy nuts? The second part, okay, yeah, that's just typical statism. The state has the right to monitor whatever it wants according to your average judge. But to suggest that a man has the fundamental human right to have sex with a woman because he's married to her is absolutely disgusting.
No.
It does not work that way. Two people in a relationship certainly have the right to engage in consensual sex.
If they both want to.
Well, that's why I added the word consensual literally in the statement.
Right.
But
if just making this crystal clear for the people out there who are listening who don't know what consensual means.
I really hope we don't have anybody out there that young, but we might. But if they both consent, sure, certainly. But to suggest that the right of a man to have sex with his wife is a thing is to it's so possessive, and that's my issue with monogamous relationships right there. His wife. And I understand, for colloquial reasons and for, speech reasons, it's easier sometimes to just refer to somebody as my boyfriend, my wife, my spouse, whatever, right?
Right.
But when you get to a point where you're actually speaking about this other living, functioning human being as your actual property to which you have some sort of right, that's where monogamy absolutely crosses a line. And that's where it becomes less a matter of, I'm saying this as a shorthand to let people know that I'm involved in a relationship with this person, to I feel like I should be able to rape my wife.
Well, is this a thing of monogamy, or is it more misogyny? Because it sounds more like misogyny than to me.
Well, I would say that it's both, certainly.
Is this something that has to happen in a monogamous relationship?
Not in my opinion, but clearly in the judge's opinion. In a monogamous relationship, in a normal cis marriage of two straight people, the husband has the right to have sex with his wife, according to this judge. And not only does he have that right, it is the most obviously fundamental human right that he can even think of.
Oh, my.
So they use the word he a lot here, and I was under the impression that it was the husband who made that statement. It was not. It was the judge. So the man did not go, I can't think of anything more fundamental than being able to rape my wife. He didn't actually say that.
The judge said that.
The judge said that. And that's absolutely appalling. And this is the guy who is going to make the decision in this court case. So it really doesn't seem to matter to the judge whether the woman consents or not. She agreed to be this man's wife, and the state, as represented by this judge, is going to rule that she is his property. He can do with her whatever he wants, whether she likes it or not. Saying, I think he is entitled to have it properly argued. Although a full hearing is expected to take place in the near future, I don't see it as leading to anything good. I mean, the best case scenario, right, is that the judge says, okay, yeah, she's not mentally competent. You can never have sex with her again. That's equally screwed up. It's screwed up for different reasons, but it's as equally screwed up as saying, no, you can rape her. I don't see what the big deal is. I mean, it's not like she can complain about it, right?
Right.
Just cut out her tongue and you can rape her all she wants. You don't have to listen to her complaints. That's a bit of hyperbole. The judge certainly didn't go that far. But to suggest that a woman becomes her husband's property to the extent that he has some kind of right, a fundamental human right to play with her body, is appalling. And I can't believe that this isn't being just crucified across the internet.
Yeah, I don't know how people miss this.
Yeah, like that one statement from that judge about a fundamental human right to bone your wife should be everywhere. That one quote should tell everybody everything they need to know about the state as well. And that's the way, and that it has a right to get involved in that. This is the call to freedom.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom broadcast, as always, from the Liberty Radio studio here in Keene, New Hampshire. And, of course, you're invited to give us a call at 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160. Or if you prefer clearer quality, you can use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm, which is certainly the way we would prefer you call into the show. Our favorite devil, Baphomet, Satan thing. Also
Zuckerberg?
Yeah. Well, Facebook, not Zuckerberg directly, I don't think, is in the news again for doing seriously screwed up things again. At this point, I get to watch the dumpster fire from a distance because I'm no longer on Facebook.
You deactivated your Facebook.
Yeah,
like
permanently. Permanently, yeah. And it's really nice to know that I no longer have to deal with it at all. I still use the Facebook Messenger to keep in touch with like 2 or 3, especially now that, my primary phone is broken, so I can't text or make calls or anything anyway.
Oops.
Yeah. Well, it's going to get repaired eventually. It's not a priority, though, because I never used it anyway. But Facebook is asking some new users for their email passwords. Good God. I misread that the first time. They're asking new users for their email passwords?
Yes.
Oh, my God, they are. And here's a screenshot of it. That is insane.
That's why I flagged this up, because it's just ridiculous. You don't do this. This is like rule number 1, you do not ask people for their password.
And they thought this was okay. Clearly, they thought this was okay.
They thought this was okay.
And not only that, but they're also harvesting people's contacts.
Yeah, so you
without
give
their
them your
consent.
password, and they grab all your contacts.
Well, there's a reason they certainly wanted the password, right?
Yeah.
The move has alarmed security experts, you think, who warn it could encourage users to engage in risky behavior and increase their chances of being hacked. I don't know about the chances of being hacked increase, but it's generally bad advice.
Didn't we just last week have a story about how Facebook was storing users' passwords in plain text?
Yeah.
Where 20,000 Facebook employees could see them?
Yeah, we did.
So
they do a lot of
all
stupid
it takes
things.
is one bad apple.
The social network also appears to be accessing these users' contacts without asking for permission. And generally speaking, you know, if you go to a website and it wants you to sign up for your email address with an email address, you would not, hopefully, use your email address password, because some people do reuse passwords. I reuse passwords.
Yeah, some people do.
I have about 6 that I rotate through, depending on... They're actually kind of related to each other. The unimportant ones get one that's just easier to type out. The more important ones get one that's like 22 characters of ASCII. Yeah,
I have a password manager.
Nobody's... See, that's its own problem. Because once somebody gains access to that, they have access to all of your passwords.
Yeah, well, good luck.
Versus, you know, the way I do it, where they would have to hack into my actual brain or into my computer with a keylogger or something like that. But if they're putting a keylogger into my computer, then I'm already compromised anyway. So
yeah, you screwed at that point.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. But yeah, mine's encrypted. I don't use cloud password manager garbage like most people. So
I used to have to install keyloggers and screenshot grabbers and things like that for clients who thought that their employees were looking at porn. And I will say that it is shocking how many employees will compromise their work computers by looking at porn.
yeah, those work computers generally don't have ad blockers and stuff like that on them to keep you safe. So.
Well, ours did, because I'm good at my job.
Well, yeah.
So when I sat down at a computer, I set it up with essentially the same security parameters that I would use, except I also installed firewalls and antivirus crap to placate the user when they finally get infected, so that they go, but how did we get infected? We have an antivirus. Which is like asking how you got HIV because you stuck your willy into a pile of horse crap, but you were wearing a condom.
Oh, you were wearing a condom. Condom's only 99% effective, and the same is true of your computer's antivirus.
Well, I don't even think they're 99% effective. I would put
90, 96, whatever the number is.
I would, in my experience, and they may have statistics to show otherwise, but in my experience, let me think of how to phrase this. Every single client was hit with malware at one point or another. And all of them used different antiviruses at one point. So I would say, based on that none of them are even 96% effective.
Yeah, all the different antiviruses, they all miss stuff. That's why you have sites like VirusTotal that just submit something to 50 different antiviruses to see which ones miss them.
The one thing I found that was effective was CryptoPrevent, which would actually edit the registry. You could edit the registry to do it manually if you wanted to, but it had a feature where it would edit the registry so that certain temporary folders could not be accessed unless the utility trying to access them was already on a whitelist that you could define. That was extremely effective. We never got an infection on any computer running that because they always installed in one of 2 places. These infections do, and it's going to be in the app data folder every single time.
Yeah.
But Facebook has been asking new users to provide the social network with their password to their email accounts. That could teach people to engage in risky behavior online. Yeah, and that's the main issue here is that, okay, so random person A trusts Facebook with their password, but you've already put them into that mindset of some companies can be trusted with my email address password. So now it's a matter of judgment. It's not a matter of a hard rule. Okay, I'm not giving any other site except Gmail or Yahoo or good God, please don't use Yahoo. They're even worse than Gmail or Hotmail.
Or whatever.
God. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend any of these. But you're like, okay, I'm only giving Gmail my email address password. I'm not giving it to anyone else. But then you go, oh, well, I guess I can give it to Facebook. That'll be okay. And then you go to this other, well, I guess I can give it to Discus. That'll be okay. And then, oh, I guess WordPress can have it. Sure. Oh, I guess porn.com can have it. And the next thing you know, you're just receiving countless. I mean, you shouldn't even be entering your email address into random websites. People do.
Yeah,
of course, I do.
That's why they get spam.
My inbox has like 2,700 unread messages right now. That I can't bother to create the filters to get rid of because I just don't care. The app on my phone that I use for email ignores all of those anyway and only pulls down the actual important ones that I'd want to see. So it's a problem when I go to an actual web browser to sit down and read my email, but that happens like once every 3 months anyway. And only when I need to look up, cross-reference it with other emails and things like that.
Right.
But typically, people are urged by security experts to never share their passwords or enter them into any other services than the one for which they are intended, to avoid the risk of phishing attacks, where users' passwords and personal information are stolen. And speaking of phishing attacks, I mean, this page here that they brought us from Facebook, it looks like it could be a phishing attack.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't really have the look of legitimacy to it.
It looks like an old version of Facebook.
Yeah, and it looks like something you could easily make in maybe 20 minutes. This is the Call to Freedom. We're going to get into the idiocy of Facebook more.
Because we are smothering in spam, please do not reply to all when you can instead reply. I was recently among over 100 invited to a corporate reunion. It's always a warm affair, and that's the problem. Enthusiasm for our upcoming get-together caused many recipients to RSVP the organizer with a cheery reply to all. I can't wait. Then others piled on with a reply to all to that. Then the "I'm out of my office now" autoresponders joined in. So I replied to all, asking that we all reply only to the organizer. Hey, at least I tried. One invitee, apparently retired, shot back, "Point taken, but I really like seeing the responses since they're so positive." Smiley face. This better be an open bar. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event, even with coupon code FTLEB. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTLEB for a discount.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
Don't you hate that feeling in the pit of your stomach when the police pull you over? Most people have no idea how to handle it properly, and they promptly get fed into the municipal fee-generating meat grinder. Or maybe you recall that feeling you get when you go to the mailbox and see one or more letters from the IRS. You get a sense of impending doom, don't you? So let me ask you, If you could learn how to use the law to beat the IRS, traffic tickets, almost any courtroom scenario, collectors, credit card debt, and even mortgage debt because of fraud perpetrated against you, would that be worth knowing about? Don't laugh. Investigate. Check out the life-changing benefits of the Lighthouse Law Club at their website, lighthouselaw.club. That's lighthouselaw.club. And while you're at it, visit the Lighthouse Law Club YouTube channel. You might be in for a pleasant surprise.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is The Call to Freedom, and the Rational Review News Digest, located at rationalreview.com, is the Freedom Movement's daily news digest, aggregating stories from all over the internet that are of interest to libertarians and liberty-minded people. They include podcasts, videos, blogs, news articles, and more, and are now a source for people to receive the Call to Freedom's podcast, so be sure to check them out. Once again, that's rationalreview.com, and they're also the people who brought to my attention the story out of the UK that we discussed earlier, which is bizarre in the sense that this UK judge has characterized a man having sex with his wife
as a human right,
as a fundamental human right that the state has a right to monitor. Both of those elements, and I guess we're jumping back to this for a moment.
Both of those are totally wrong for different reasons.
Yeah, you know, you have people who argue that the state shouldn't be involved in people's bedrooms, right? That's generally the progressive position, is that the state shouldn't be regulating who can have sex with who, right? That's the pro-LGBT arguments that they tend to use, that the state has no business doing it in the first place. But then, more often than not, we're going to find among that same group of people an overwhelming degree of support for the UK judge and his position that the state does, in fact, have a right to regulate it if the person is mentally incompetent. And, you know, then it gets into the question of, okay, well, who is defining what is and isn't mental competent? The judge, that judge there who said that a man has a fundamental human right to have sex with his wife. That's who you want judging whether or not someone is mentally competent.
Yeah, apparently so.
Because I don't want them judging anything, much less something of that nature where one decision rooted, it's clearly steeped to some degree in misogyny, could lead to this woman being raped for the rest of her life without having the intellectual capacity to even do anything about it, much less extract herself from the situation or shoot the guy who is raping her. What he's essentially doing in this scenario is saying that a husband should be able to rape his wife, and I don't think consent really plays into the picture for him, and I don't think it's going to become a question of whether or not the woman is capable of consenting. I think for him, he seems to take this position that the woman's consent is kind of superficial anyway. Like it's just to rubber stamp something that the husband has a right to do anyway.
Right.
Maybe it's a poor choice of words on his part.
It could be.
But that's a very poor choice of words. But we had moved on to talking about Facebook, and I want to get back into that because they're presenting people with what absolutely looks like it could be just your average phishing attempt. And it would not be that hard to pull off.
Yeah,
really.
if you presented this to most people, they would enter their password without a second thought.
Yeah, but if you presented it to a tech security person, we would go, no, I've been phished. Let me double check the URL. There's no way this is https facebook.com.
Yeah, but they'll see the little lock in the corner. That's what most users will see. And they'll see the little green lock and everything's okay, so I can put in my...
Well, the average user doesn't even look for that. The average user just looks at the web page and doesn't check to see whether they've been phished. That's why phishing works.
Well, yeah, you've got a point.
It's only the tech people who would look for the URL in the first place. But apparently it is legitimate. Typically people... Okay, we covered that. But on Facebook, when users tried to register with certain email providers, including Yandex and GMX, it asks to confirm your email address by entering their password directly into Facebook. as previously reported on the Daily Beast. The issue was first discovered by pseudonymous Twitter user eSushi. Interesting name.
My ad block is not showing his tweet.
Users of other email providers like Google's Gmail don't see the option, as it makes use of an authorization tool called OAuth, a common tool for securely verifying your identity without requiring you to input your password, as Facebook is doing here.
What? Now, why do they need you to log into your email account anyway? The way most people do this is they send a link to your email and then you click the link.
Yeah, that's what I would have.
That's what I seem to doing this OAuth stuff in the first place.
That's what I seem to remember doing with Facebook when I created my account. Of course, that was years ago. Akem Manor on Twitch has said the average user would give Facebook their social security number. I don't disagree.
Yeah,
I think they probably would. And their credit. We know they give them their credit card information.
Credit cards and their real name and their birth date and their blood type and their HIV status and everything.
Now, I will say proudly that Facebook never knew what my quote-unquote real name was. Never at any point during the shenanigans that I got into. Ace Manor. Okay, thanks. Never in the shenanigans I got into on Facebook, which ultimately devolved into just crap posting and posting memes and sharing memes. I was like, I don't need this in my life anymore. My friends will literally send me memes anyway that they think I will find funny. So Facebook is kind of unnecessary to this entire process. And I did remove Facebook from my life. That hasn't really made me very much more productive because I wasn't really on Facebook a lot anyway through the last several months. The Business Insider has also found that if a new user chooses to enter their email password into Facebook, like an idiot, a pop-up appears saying that Facebook is importing contacts, despite not asking the user for permission to do so.
Gee, why would they do something like that?
At least they made it known. You know, I expected based on what I know of Facebook and the way they usually do things, I expected them to just do it and not even notify the user that their contacts were being imported.
Yeah, they could have done that in the background without telling the user.
Now, I uninstall things fairly often from my phone, and I recently uninstalled Messenger Lite and ended up reinstalling it, and during the process of every installation, it asks you if you want to import your contacts. Now, I always say no. Why in the freaking world would I want that? If I know somebody, I'm going to add them on Facebook. If I don't know them, I have my world divided into different parts. That there are friends, there are coworkers, there are relationships, there are people who don't need to know quite a lot of the things going on in my life. I don't want my business people to see on Facebook that I had chlamydia, right?
Yeah. Your personal stuff. Yeah,
And I mean,
everyone does this.
Yeah, and since Facebook doesn't provide the mechanism to post this to this group of friends only, or to that group of friends only.
Well, actually, they do now.
Yeah, but you can't save it as a specific group.
Yeah, it's called a list.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, good on them for finally implementing it way too late, because I'm already gone. And I would recommend other people leave Facebook as well. I promise you, you will not miss it. You will once, or at least I did once. I did wake up one morning and was like, I really would like to browse Facebook. I didn't. Almost like a withdrawal, except nowhere near as intense or serious or important. It was kind of a passing thought while I was outside smoking. It was like, because normally I would pull up Facebook and see what's going on in the world while I was out there having my morning cigarette. And I was tempted to and didn't. And now it's just not part of my life anymore. And I'm so happy about that.
Do your cigarettes taste better?
No. The messages I receive taste better, generally, knowing that they're not linked to this Facebook profile that is, leaking all of my information to the world. So that's convenient. Of course, Facebook is still monitoring my, Messenger to find out what my interests are so that they can sell that information to other advertisers and they can sell me crap. But good luck. Good luck with that.
Yeah, the big one is the Facebook profile and timeline, and that's gone. So
because there's like 4 people I message on Facebook. 2 of those are exclusively about video games. One of them is like 99% sex jokes, and the other is just memes. So if they can pinpoint my interests out of that, more power to them.
Yeah, good luck.
I don't think they can do it, though. But it's not immediately clear if this tool actually imports these contacts, as it apparently didn't pull in the contact list entries we made for the purposes of testing, though these contacts were only minutes old. And that is a useful feature, to a degree, if you opt into it. Yeah. Because, you don't want to join Facebook and not have any friends or anything like that. This will, connect you with those same friends of yours on Facebook if you've been emailing them and things like that. But you should definitely be asked and have it made known to you before you freaking give Facebook your email password. This is the Call to Freedom. We're going to dig further into this idiocy, so don't go anywhere.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
Free Talk Live.
You guys live in a dream world.
No, sir, you're the one that lives in a dream world. You're the one that wants to have a police state in America where you get to determine who can come in and who can't. You want to have border patrols. You want to have checkpoints.
You want to let the entire third world into this country?
Sir, I'll answer that question by reading a short excerpt from a poem. Maybe you've heard of it. It happens to appear at the bottom of the Statue of Liberty. It was about...
You're poor, you're tired, huddled masses.
Great, you are aware of it,
yes. Let them come in legally.
Well, come on, the legally, Lou. The legal is such a cop-out. Now, hold on a second, because when your ancestors came across, and I don't know what they are, let's say they're Italian. When your ancestors came across, all they did was take you to Ellis Island, screw up your last name, sit you around for 3 days, and then bam, you're out the door. Now, legal is a huge pile of paperwork and tens of thousands of dollars.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
right, welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. And if you've ever wanted to arrest people for drugs and then sell the drugs on the side for a nice little bonus, or perhaps have sex with prostitutes and then arrest them, then you should try the thinbluelinegame.com, which allows you to enjoy the power rush of being a cop without all the paperwork. It's the only card game in the world that allows you to shoot someone over a broken taillight and then escape accountability with the magical phrase, "I feared for my life." You know, typical cop stuff. Go get it now at thinbluelinegame.com. Assault and battery is not included, but for a limited time, you can order your copies and use the coupon code CTF to have all shipping costs waived. So go get it. Again, that's thinbluelinegame.com. And I would imagine that most of the random statists out there who advocate police authority and state authority and things like that would love to see the federal government step in again on Facebook, even though it was completely ineffective at doing anything even remotely positive when he testified in front of Congress for like 9 hours or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, well, the whole point of didn't we see a story recently where Mark Zuckerberg is like, please regulate Facebook? And
I don't recall seeing that.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. I mean, that's what the large tech giants and the large social media giants want.
Yeah, it's called regulatory capture. They get to dictate the regulations and prevent other competitors from springing up.
Yeah, that's why they want to be regulated. We see it in Coinbase as well, asking people to, asking the government to actually, they're forming a panel of other cryptocurrency exchanges that are working together to better facilitate the government takeover of cryptocurrency by outlining for the federal government what sort of regulations they would like to see and how they could facilitate the creation of those regulations. And of course, it just so happens that these expensive, huge exchanges like Coinbase already just happen to have the ability to afford to accommodate these regulations in the first place.
Now, they're not actually proposing to get rid of AML and KYC, right?
Good Lord, of course not.
Then yeah, they're just regulatory capture. They're agents of the state.
Yeah,
Screw
well,
them.
Coinbase has long been an agent of the state. That's why I would recommend people not use them. There's certainly some validity to the need to use them for certain people. If you don't have access to Bitcoin ATMs and things like that, certainly your options are limited. And Coinbase is really the only game in town for a lot of people in rural America who want to convert fiat into crypto. But Coinbase is still the devil, just like Facebook is still the devil. And according to Bennett Cyphers, a security researcher with advocacy group the Electronic Frontier Foundation, he was harshly criticizing Facebook's actions and said, "This is basically indistinguishable to a phishing attack." Yeah, well, we covered that, but thanks for coming in with your expert opinion, Mr. Security Expert.
Well, someone's got to come in. Not everyone's going to hear us on the radio reading this, so someone's got to have the expert opinion for those people.
He pointed out that people are ordinarily urged never to provide their passwords. Again, thanks for catching up with us. And that to anyone other than the site that they were created with. It's bad on so many levels, he says. It's an absurd overreach by Facebook and a sleazy attempt to trick people to upload data about their contacts to Facebook as the price of signing up. Even when you consent to uploading contact information to Facebook, you should never have to put in your email password to do it.
Yeah, sleazy is about the right word there, and I wish I had thought of it.
It is sleazy, but this is not the first time Facebook has been sleazy or just downright immoral.
Yeah, they've got a long history of it.
But sleazy, you're absolutely right. Sleazy is a really good way of characterizing behavior like this from Facebook, who, you know, one would realistically be aware that Facebook, you're gonna give them your contact info anyway. All they have to do is sit back and wait. And the average person will make them keenly aware of exactly who they are friends with by adding them there on Facebook. Or Facebook could just ask them, hey, you want to add your friends from your phone contacts or your email contacts? We can make that happen.
And yeah, give you yes or no. Or actually, these days it's yes or later.
I'm scared.
Have you noticed that?
I'm not on Facebook anymore.
No, it's not just Facebook. It's a lot of different apps. If they'll give you a yes or no choice.
Oh yeah,
but
I've
instead of no, it'll be later.
Yeah.
And one other thing, I did a quick search and I found out none of
on the subject of apps. If I want to rate your app, I will go to the Google Play Store to do it. If you ask me to rate your app, and I swear to God, if you ask me to rate it at 5 stars, you are getting 0 stars and a bad review, no matter if I use your app every single freaking day. Because screw you, you greedy pieces of crap.
Stop annoying me. So I did a quick search because they have this OAuth protocol that is supposed to let you confirm your identity, like it was saying, without putting in your password to Facebook. And Yandex and GMX both have this. So there was no reason for Facebook to be doing this anyway.
The ability to import your contacts directly.
The
I'm not
ability
surprised.
to log in without giving your password. So there's no reason for Facebook to be doing this.
That's really bizarre, because you would imagine that this was some sort of quick workaround to a problem that they could have solved, but it seems
It
that
might have been, but
they just. But I mean, it used OAuth or something like that to do this automatically in the same way that Gmail does. But they were like, no, let's go ahead and get users' passwords anyway to their email addresses and say that we would never store your password. And that may be true. It may be true that Facebook did not store any of these email passwords, but based on their reputation and their history, would you want to take that risk? I wouldn't.
I mean, what was it? 2 weeks ago, we had a story where Facebook was so-called accidentally logging everyone's passwords when they logged in, and this log was accessible to like 20,000 Facebook employees.
Well, it wasn't everyone. It was a small section of people.
Mostly people that use like the Messenger Lite app.
Really? I didn't.
And the Facebook
I don't
Lite
recall us mentioning that anywhere.
It was. I don't think we mentioned it on there, but it was in the news story.
Because that's what I use as the Messenger Lite app, because it's not a big bulky mess in the same way.
Like the regular message. Yeah, me too.
The fact that there is even a Messenger Lite app that does exactly the same things as Messenger should tell you how bloated and useless Messenger actually is. What is the point? You know, I expected when I first discovered Messenger Lite that it was surely made by some third-party company.
Nope.
Who
by
took
Facebook.
a look at this situation and said, this can't continue. Why does this messaging app take up 400 megabytes of people's space? Let's do one that's 5% of that. Enter Messenger Lite. But no, it's made by Facebook. There are third-party messaging apps, but that requires giving them your Facebook email and password, and I'm no more inclined to do that than I am to give Facebook my email password.
Yeah, no thank you.
My Facebook password is my Facebook password, and I'm not going to give it to a random third-party company. I remember when Pokemon Go released, there was an issue with certain Gmail accounts. The app was actually asking for full access to people's emails and not just the...
Not just like the minimal login information, right?
Yeah, because Gmail had 3 tiers at the time. I think there was full access, there was some other, and then there was full access, limited access, and then restricted access, I think. But they were asking for full access, and yes, they could read the email addresses of a select few people. I think you had to be using iOS and you had to be using Gmail. I think both of those things had to be true, but they could do it. They never did, and they very quickly fixed it. But it did technically make all of your information available to them. They didn't have the software there in place that would allow them to utilize that full access by reading your email and your contacts and all of that.
But they technically had that access.
But they absolutely could have, yeah. Just sloppy programming habits by people and sloppy security habits by people. If you want the average tech person to take IT security seriously, which we do, right? Especially here on the show, then you have to foster that from the ground up. You can't have this huge mega corporation going, oh, ignore what all these other people have said. It's totally fine to give us your other passwords. That damages what all of us should be trying to do, which is to get the average person to be conscious of these things so that they don't give themselves viruses, they don't get phished, and they don't end up 60-year-old women sending Bitcoin to Nigeria.
Amen, sister.
that would be the preferred solution, and it always starts at the top. You can have people here on the bottom going around telling their friends, family, and coworkers, don't give Facebook your email address password. If you are asked by Facebook for a password to some other site, good Lord, click the X and call me. But Facebook evidently is going to violate that norm by asking you directly for your passwords, and that's totally unacceptable. This is the call to freedom.
Thanks a lot.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
Who told you can go this way? You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. This is...
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait
now.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,293. Silver at $15.08, and Bitcoin is trading around $5,134. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, a former Mississippi cop has learned her fate after she pleaded guilty to leaving her 3-year-old daughter strapped in her hot patrol car until she died, as the cop had sex with her supervisor inside his home. Former Long Beach police officer Cassie Barker will spend the next 20 years behind bars for the death of her 3-year-old daughter. The Free Thought Project reports that her sentence was handed down Monday, with the judge telling Barker that she failed in her responsibility to protect and serve as a mother and as a police officer. On September 30th, 2016, Barker strapped her 3-year-old daughter into a car seat in the back of her patrol car and entered her supervisor's home for a midday romp. Barker knew the air conditioner did not work, but nevertheless turned on the vent and went inside. As her daughter sat strapped in her deathbed, Barker had sex with Officer Clark Ladner inside the home. After the deed had been done, Barker and Ladner then fell asleep. Authorities said little Cheyenne Barker's body temperature reached 107 degrees before she died. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Bray Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Bray Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybraybotanicals.com. And right now, Liberty Beat listeners can save 10% by using promo code SNLS at checkout. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. online at snls.news and libertybeat.news. I'm Mick Murrow. Your news now continues. Lawyers for an American journalist who believes he was placed on the government's infamous kill list warned Tuesday that the rights of all U.S. citizens are at stake if the country's drone assassination program is allowed to continue. Activist Post reports the organization's comments came as part of a response to the U.S. government's attempt to dismiss a lawsuit regarding its use of the list. Reprieve is representing Bilal Abdul Karim, a journalist and U.S. citizen, who claims he was repeatedly targeted and nearly killed on 5 separate occasions by drone and missile attacks in 2016, when he was reporting on the ongoing conflict in Syria. Karim joined an Al Jazeera journalist in 2017 in a lawsuit against the government, demanding that the Trump administration remove their names from the kill list of potential targets for the U.S. drone program. If the government manages to have the lawsuit dismissed, legal experts warn it will allow the Trump administration and future presidents to secretly place any American on a kill list without telling them why, before stripping them of their constitutional rights to due process. Last week, Utah Governor Gary Herbert signed a bill into law that requires police to get a warrant before accessing data stored in the cloud. The new law will not only increase privacy protections in Utah, it will also hinder the federal surveillance state. Activist Post reports that Representative Craig Hall, a Republican from West Valley City, sponsored the House bill. The new law prohibits law enforcement agencies from accessing electronic information or data transmitted to a remote computing service without a warrant based on probable cause in most situations. In effect, it will prohibit police from warrantlessly accessing information uploaded into the cloud. The House passed the bill by a 71-0 vote. The Senate approved the measure 23-0. With Herbert's signature, the new law will go into effect May 14th. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting with the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
While getting drinks after work with a group of coworkers, local shipping clerk Russell Chambliss told reporters Wednesday night he was unsure whether he was bonding with his male associates or being mercilessly bullied by them.
I'm pretty sure that Bill called me limp dick earlier, and Todd keeps punching me in the shoulder. Pretty hard, too. I can't tell if it's their way of letting me feel like I'm part of the group or making me feel bad about myself.
Chambliss said while his coworkers verbally demeaned him and even made him feel physically threatened at various points in the evening, they did so with large smiles on their faces, making it extremely unclear if his coworkers enjoyed his company or wanted him to leave the bar.
Well, I told Jeff about this problem that I was having with my girlfriend, and he called me a pussy and then walked away. But then, like 5 minutes later, he came back with a beer that he had bought for me. What does that even mean? Apparently I'm invited over to Todd's house for dinner this weekend. I guess that'll be fun.
For more on this story, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
All right, welcome back. This is The Call to Freedom. As always, I'm your host, Arya DeMezzo of theanarchistshemale.com. Also author of Dancing in Hellfire, which you can find on Amazon, and the slated for a summer of 2019 release, upcoming Beyond Words and Labels. Joined in the studio today by
Michael Hampton from CryptoTip.org.
And I've got good news for all of the cat lovers out there.
Yes.
Coming to us from recent, yes, there was a story that became viral a week or two ago, before I left Facebook anyway, about how the U.S. government was feeding cats to kittens, as well as parasite-infected meat.
Yeah, it was a horrible story.
In order to do some kind of research. Now, this is why I very carefully screen what kind of makeup I use and what I don't use. Most people have no idea that most of these cosmetics, lotions, and things like that are tested on animals. And it's far more horrific than any of these people would imagine. If you just Google animal testing cosmetics, you will see some of the most horrifying things you will ever see in your life. They do it to cats, they do it to dogs, they do it to rabbits, and it's absolutely disgusting. It has to stop. And I'm against medical testing on animals as well, and that pisses a lot of people off because they're like, but how else are we going to test our cancer cure if we don't give this cute little kitten cancer? Look, if you want a cure for cancer, you are more than welcome to get them to try the treatment on you. I don't think you have any right, because you want this cure, to torture this animal and infect it with some disease because you want the treatment.
Indeed.
If you want the treatment,
if you want it so bad, take it yourself.
Yeah, put your body out there and take it yourself. You know, I believe, and I realize this is an extremely minority position. I may be the only person in the world who even thinks this, but the non-aggression principle should apply to all animals, humans and non-humans alike.
Okay, how do we eat meat then?
I recognize that eating meat is a violation against these animals, and that I have no way to morally justify it. I do eat meat. In fact, I'm not a vegan. I'm not even a vegetarian, right? I eat meat, but I recognize that it's immoral for me to do so. It's kind of like, let me think of another thing. I can't think of another thing off the top of my head that people regularly do that they know is immoral, but they do anyway. But to me, it is immoral, because the distinction between human and non-human, it's just as false. It's just as demonizing of the non-humans as it was when we made the same exact distinctions between white people and black people in the 18th and 19th centuries. In fact, if you get into this argument with people often enough, you will find that the arguments they use in favor of enslaving animals, killing animals, and using animals as test subjects in experiments are exactly the same things that people said about black people in the 19th and 17th through the 17th and 19th centuries.
Well, they actually thought black people were animals and subhuman, and that's why they had those opinions.
I think a lot of our humans first mentality, let me rephrase that. I used to believe that a lot of that human first mentality was based in religion, especially the Abrahamic ones that, you know, told man to go out there and conquer the animal kingdom or whatever. But I became older and realized that no, that's just a symptom of human hubris itself, because the Bible, the Abrahamic religion, it's created by man. Obviously, I don't know if everyone agrees or not, but I believe that it is. And so when humans sat down to write, you know, their own hubris was reflected in that. That's why the Bible places man at the center of God's universe. It's why man is created in God's image instead of in the image of a cat or something like that.
Right.
Because it's all just a reflection of humanity. And I think what people will find if they read the Bible in that context is that it's just nothing but 1,300 pages of unbridled human ego. With a little bit of good stuff in there. I'm not saying it's all bad, but for the most part, yeah, it's just humans talking about how great we are because we're at the center of God's universe.
I mean, the whole love your neighbor thing, that was pretty good.
It was pretty good. And it was also pretty good when, you know, the Hindus said it and the Buddhists said it and the Odinists said it.
It's a very, very common theme.
I also found out last night, do you know whether or not we have Odinists here in New Hampshire?
Odinists?
Yeah.
I would not be surprised to find one or two, but I don't know who they are.
I found out last night that there are people out there who are actually worshiping the Norse gods sincerely.
And they're in New Hampshire?
Well, I don't know if they're in New Hampshire or not. That's why I asked you. I thought you might know.
Pretty sure the Vikings landed a little north of here.
I just know that these people exist, right? And they may be in New Hampshire. I was wondering whether or not you knew if they were.
Yeah, I haven't heard. I guess I could ask Facebook. But.
And I mean, there's certainly an argument to it. You know, the only reason it's curious to me as an atheist, as a Christian turned atheist, before anybody starts accusing me of being biased or whatever. I was raised as a Christian. I thought I was going to become a preacher, in fact. But that always derails my train of thought to remember that. But it's curious to me that some of these religions, because people did once worship Zeus, you know, and now he's just universally considered to be a mythological figure.
Right.
I'm telling you right now, the same thing is going to happen to Yahweh.
It's eventually going to be considered
Jesus.
mythological.
Yeah. And he's largely considered mythological now in this increasingly secular society. But I'm saying there will come a time where he's not worshipped by anyone. And I think that will be a positive change for humanity. But for the time being, it's curious, how one religion will supplant another and just completely destroy its monuments. And in time, it becomes almost revered for its mythological basis. Because I know plenty of Christians who love the stories of Hercules and Zeus and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
While fully recognizing that it's, not true.
Yeah, it's all myth.
Like when I was in the 5th grade, we were handed stories about the Greek mythological origins of the universe. And the teacher was so concerned, because this was Mississippi, about backlash from this, that she required us to write at the bottom that this is not true. This is a fictional story. So, of course, me, being the troll that I was, wrote this totally happened and underlined it. Even in the 5th grade, I was trolling.
Oh, yeah.
But, okay, back to the point. The USDA has decided to stop conducting research on cats in response to concerns that the department's practice of feeding kittens parasite-infected meat and or other kittens before unnecessarily euthanizing them was inhumane.
Oh my God, so they were feeding dead kittens to other kittens.
So let's back up for a minute and recognize that some human being out there needed it explained to them that this is not something you do.
Yeah, and this human being that needed it explained to them works for the government.
That's the only place such a psychopath could get a job, I would argue.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Because that's dangerously insane. I don't see anything wrong with feeding kittens to other kittens.
Yeah, you've got a nice career ahead of you in the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
I mean, isn't it the case that most psychopathic murderers began their careers by hurting innocent animals, torturing dogs and cats?
Serial killers.
Here we have
a lot of them started as animal abusers.
Here we have a branch of government that had this as their freaking policy. 2 cute little kittens. And I'm not a fan of dogs, really. There are good dogs, obviously. We got Jazzy here in the studio. She's an amazing dog, but I prefer cats. But it doesn't matter to me if it's a dog or hamster or cat or any of these other cute little critters. I'm against it. I don't think we should be feeding puppies other puppies.
No.
Good God, I cannot believe I'm saying this. Because this is the world we live in.
It's 2019, and we're having to discuss cats being force-fed other cats.
Well, they don't talk about force-feeding.
Or fed other
at least, but yeah.
Well, they weren't offered a choice to eat cat or fish or whatever.
Now, there was that serial killer who kept, I don't know if he was a serial killer, actually. I guess he was, technically, who kept the 3 women in his basement and killed one of the women and then fed her to the other 2. And he force-fed them. And I don't see much of a distinction between that and what the U.S. government has done, except the U.S. government did it in a large scale. Too many cats. And we're going to get back into this, so don't go anywhere. This is the Call to Freedom.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your AMP will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you AMP Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
All right, welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. As always, you're invited to give us a call. That number is 603-283-6160. Once more, that's 603-283-6160. Or if you prefer clearer quality, you can use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm. And we've been attempting to get into this story about how the U.S. government murdered, because yes, I'm going to characterize it as murder for the rest of this article, so go ahead and make peace with that. 3,000 kittens. And of course, my perspective is, okay, that gives us a number of how many politicians we should execute in retaliation for this.
Oh my.
Back in May of 2018, the White Coast Waste Project, an anti-animal testing group, this is the first I've heard of them, but good on them. By the way, you can use Bunny Free. That's an app that I use to find out whether or not shampoos, body washes, makeup have been tested on animals. There's also one called, I think, Cruelty Free, but Bunny Free is the one that I would recommend going with because it's the one that I use. Anyway, they revealed that the USDA's Agricultural Research Service had been feeding parasite-infected meat to young kittens as a way of incubating the parasite Toxoplasma. Now, I'm not a fan of the characterization of this meat as parasite-infected. I'm not aware of any cat that doesn't have Toxoplasma. It's just something that cats have. And the most recent scientific research, which may or may not have been brought to us by the USDA, is that its primary goal or its primary utility appears to be making mice and other such organisms less afraid of cats. And the going hypothesis is that it's because of this parasite, which I have toxoplasma now. Anybody who spends any significant amount of time around cats will, is that it's the infection of this parasite in human beings that causes us to love cats.
Okay.
And I obviously don't agree, because one doesn't need a parasite to love dogs,
No.
right? But I guess it could help. But every cat has it. I'm not sure to what extent we really need any further research on it. It's bad for pregnant women to be around, but it's harmless to humans and cats alike. And we know this, and we've known it for at least a century now. So the parasite was then harvested from the kitten's feces, after which the little guys were euthanized with a lethal dose of ketamine injected into their hearts. Now, ketamine is something I hear about fairly frequently, or I heard about fairly frequently, because there was this Wiccan bitch I was friends with on Facebook who really liked it. What is it?
As I understand it, it's a drug that kind of.
So you don't know either. No problem.
I've
no
heard
problem.
of it.
That's fine. I don't know. The practice reportedly dates back to 1982 and has cost the lives of about 3,000 kittens, according to the White Coast Waste Project. That revelation sparked outrage. Of course it did. Look, the government tried firing a cat from a library, and it sparked international outrage. So much so that the cat was rehired and has now outlasted the city councilman who tried to fire him. If there is one thing you don't do anything to cats on the internet.
You don't mess with a cat.
No. And that's true in real life a lot of times too, but the internet will go nuts over cats in a way that they don't seem to go nuts over. You can bomb all the brown people in the Middle East you want. People aren't going to share that. But you murder 3,000 kittens, people are going to share it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why. And, of course, I do take the perspective that non-humans should be treated as equal to humans, but not in the sense that we should ignore this murder over here in preference of this murder over here. I think we should condemn them both. Because of the grisly nature of the USDA's work, as well as the fact that the euthanasia was unnecessary, critics argued that the toxoplasma-infected kittens only posed a risk to humans for up to 3 weeks after the animal was first infected. The parasite is easily treated in both humans and cats, and most people who become infected do not require treatment. Yeah, can you feed fried chicken to chickens? It reminds me of that Metalocalypse episode, or the Metalocalypse meme, where they were like, this chicken is being basted in eggs or whatever, and it's like, no, it's more like we're smothering the carcass in the embryo of its child or something like that. Make it more metal sounding. But yeah, I don't think you're supposed to feed chicken to other chickens. Doesn't Tyson do that though?
I don't know exactly what Tyson feeds their chickens. I don't eat Tyson chickens.
If you watch
not knowingly.
Yeah, I don't blame you. If you watch the documentary Food Inc., that's Inc. is Incorporated, there are some really horrifying things in that film. And that's one of the reasons, I take the position that I do in regard to non-humans. But if you really want an eye-opening experience about how human beings treat non-humans here on Earth, watch the documentary Earthlings. It will open your eyes. If watching a fox be skinned alive, doesn't jar you out of your complacency and swear you off of fur, then you're probably a psychopath who would have been murdering these kittens along with the USDA.
Why would they do that, though?
I don't know, but it's there in the video. It's absolutely horrific. And it's not uncommon. It seems that most of the animals that we skin for fur and things like that are not killed first. And, a lot of people make a big deal out of kosher and halal and things like that. It's like, oh, well, it depends on how you kill the animal, but it's all horrifying. It really is. And once you start looking at the animals in that perspective, it becomes really hard to see them as just sources of labor or sources of food or things like that. I guess we use the phrase humanizing in regard to other humans. And it's really not applicable in regard to non-humans by definition. Obviously, you can't humanize a cat, but
you can try.
You can earthlingize a cat, I would argue, because we all are earthlings here on this planet, and we should act like it. And we don't. Instead, we treat the rest of the earth environmentally, ecologically, in regard to other animals as well, as though it's just here for us to exploit and abuse and manipulate for our own benefit. Consequences to other organisms be damned.
Yeah, they're all here for us to use, right? Isn't that what it said in Genesis?
And I'm not exactly saying that, we have to stop any of that. I certainly burn my fair share of fossil fuels and eat my share of meat, right? But it's something that we should be aware of, I think, in checking our own hubris and our own underlying idea that, this is our planet. Because it's not just, we're not even the majority here on the planet. There's 2.5 billion species of insect. And we're certainly not a majority when you go up against. And that's just the number of species. That's not counting individual insects.
You can't count the individual insects. There are probably 2.5 billion insects in the next block.
Yeah, exactly. But we treat them like they're not worth existing. And hey, I get it, but I prefer the method of, if you see a spider and you don't want it in your house, totally understandable, I don't want them in mine. It's better to find some peaceful mechanism of capturing that spider and releasing it outdoors. There's no reason whatsoever to kill this poor living creature. This is the Call to Freedom. Don't let me get all hippie on you and chase you away. We'll be back in a moment.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. And we've been discussing the USDA, the Department of Agriculture here in the United States, taking it upon itself to do some research about toxoplasma, and in the process of, oh, good Lord, there is a bill introduced called the Kitten Act. Sorry that I lost my train of thought when I saw that.
So in the process, the USDA managed to kill 3,000 kittens.
Yeah, because the way in which they were doing their research, which certainly sounds similar to the Japanese research facilities during World War II and to the Nazi German research facilities during World War II as well. Only we're not doing it to humans now.
Oh, no, we're not doing it to humans, and we're just doing it to little kittens. Nobody cares about little kittens.
Well, they're wrong about that. But what they've been doing is they've infected kittens with toxoplasma, which if you've ever owned a cat, you've had toxoplasma at some point. I didn't know that, cats would eventually kill the parasite, and so would the human body. I thought it just sort of existed perpetually because it wasn't an issue anyway, and it's not. It's only an issue for pregnant women.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a pregnant woman.
I'm not either.
So
well, not today anyway.
And I have never been extensively around a pregnant woman. So the thought of toxoplasma is just something that has never crossed my mind. But according to Reason, the reputation of the USDA has suffered another black eye when it was revealed, again as a result of a WCW investigation, that the department had also been purchasing cats and dogs from overseas that were then butchered and fed to homebred research kittens.
Oh my God.
So let's try to parse this, because that's a horrifying thing to have just read. Like it wasn't even some big deal. They were buying cats and dogs from overseas.
They imported cats and dogs and then
overseas. Killed them. And then fed them
to American cats.
Yeah. That they bred specifically for the purpose of slaughter.
Oh my, this is really horrible stuff.
This is what your tax dollars are going to, people. You're subsidizing the murder of kittens and the purchasing of cats and dogs and the murder of them so that they can be put into grinders and fed to other kittens who are then killed by the federal government.
It was bad enough that you used your tax money to send it to the government so they could bomb brown people in the Middle East. This whole kitten thing just crosses the line. You need to stop giving the government your money.
Yeah, absolutely. You should use Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash or Dash or any of these other currencies that they cannot control and that, as of yet, they can't effectively tax unless you do so voluntarily. That's the best way to go about ceasing the funding of these sorts of horrific things. It's like Derek J says in his advertisement for Victimless Crime Spree, which you can watch at victimlesscrimespree.com. If Starbucks was using my money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. The issue with the American government is that we are all customers more often than not. I mean, if you buy something, you're probably going to pay some sort of tax on it. It's going to end up in the hands of the federal government. It may pass through a few other states' hands and things like that, but ultimately, Big Daddy gets his money. And
Eventually.
If he doesn't, he's going to go down there and smack his little bitches until they pay.
That's you.
Yeah, it's not me.
That's you, the listener.
Well, it's the listener who has not yet been convinced that the state is a horrible human construct that should be abolished, dismantled, and never repeated. This practice of kitten cannibalism took place from 2003 to 2015 and resulted in some 400 dogs and 100 cats being fed to kittens held at an ARS laboratory in Maryland. Two bills, both called the Kittens in Traumatic Testing Ends Now, or Kitten Act, were introduced in the House. There is zero chance this act is not going to pass. It is called the Kitten Act. Are you serious?
Yeah, this will get bipartisan support, and Trump might even sign it.
It was introduced in the House and Senate last year to end any USDA testing on cats. The proposed legislation is effectively made moot by the USDA's announcement on Tuesday. But I think we should still get it. I'm not a fan of the government regulating, ordinary people. But if the government wants to pass a law saying that it cannot do a specific thing, then I'm all for that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want it doing things, so let's add one more specific thing that it can't do to that list.
Yeah, I'm all for the government not doing things.
But again, we have to bask and revel in the fact that it was even necessary for somebody to write a law saying, hey, you can't butcher cats and dogs and feed them to kittens. This is America. Land of the free, home of the cannibalized kittens.
And you're paying for it.
The department has promised to end all testing on cats and put the 14 felines under its care up for adoption, which it was never doing before. It was just murdering them.
Yeah, for no apparent reason.
We are continually assessing our research and priorities and aligning our resources to the problems of highest national priority. Researching toxoplasma is not a priority in any sense of the word. It shouldn't be, if it is.
Well, I'm sure there was some kind of government grant where some money was being allocated to study it for whatever reason. Probably pork barrel stuff.
Also, the idea of buying and selling cats and dogs overseas is problematic for me because I don't consider myself to be the owner of my cats. I say my cats, again, that's colloquial. It's just a figure of speech in the same way I would say my boyfriend and things like that. I don't mean it to entail any specific claim of ownership.
Yeah, they own you.
I don't even think that's true. I think we're friends. I'm friends with these non-humans. To me, that seems totally normal. I realize that a lot. I really don't like that people are like, oh, they're your babies. They're your little children. You're their mama or whatever. I'm like, no, they're cats.
They're cats.
I do not have any children. But some people do have that perspective. But it's a good day for our four-legged friends across America, which is what made me think about that, says Senator Jeff Merkley, a Democrat from Oregon, who sponsored the state Senate's Kitten Act, telling NBC News that the USDA made the right decision today. They may have today, but all that means is that moving forward, they will just sweep it under the rug and make sure that nobody finds out what they're doing.
Now they'll switch to dogs.
In the same way that the CIA executed Project MK Ultra on the American people, on many American people, and obviously they didn't stop doing things like that. They just got better at hiding it. As long as you have a USDA, as long as you have a state, it's going to do things that you don't want it to do. I would rather it do those things openly so that we can criticize them and hopefully stop them from doing it. But I also am aware that it means that they will just move to the shadows to continue doing those things if they really want to continue doing them. Like selling guns and drugs to Mexico, like Operation Fast and Furious, or bombing brown kids in the Middle East, or bombing Doctors Without Borders hospitals. All of these things that the federal government does that we don't want it doing, we're blessed in the sense that, okay, sure, we at least know that our government is doing these things, but we can't use that knowledge toward any practical purpose.
You, the listener, are not doing enough to stop this stuff.
I mean, what can we do to stop this stuff?
Stop giving them your money.
Okay, fair enough. We can't stop funding them by using alternative cryptocurrencies, alternative currencies. They don't have to be crypto. It's better if they are, but they don't have to be. Alternative currencies that are not manufactured and controlled exclusively by a state,
right?
Which is the issue with Venezuela's, what do they call it? Oil coin?
The Petro?
Yeah, that was it. Petro, yeah. Their stupid little Petro, the currency that may or may not even exist, and probably doesn't exist.
Haven't seen any
actually.
code.
No, and as far as I'm aware, it was an ERC20 token, or going to be, and none of them have actually been released to anybody. But this is a call to freedom. We're going to move on from the discussion. Go kitties! I'm glad you're free, and hopefully you get adopted. We'll be back in a moment.
Did you know you can legally exit the U.S. federal income tax system? Well, it's true, and thousands of American nationals are doing it. The 16th Amendment and the Internal Revenue Code are legal, but only in a limited jurisdiction. This is the basis behind the voluntary nature of the income tax. Learn the exit strategy provided by Congress. Find out more by visiting weissparis.com and watch our numerous videos. That's WEISS Paris.com.
In a survey, nearly 100% of boys ages 12 to 15 report that they have sex all the time and are definitely not virgins. Teens say they've gone all the way on numerous occasions, including vaginal sex, oral sex, and regular sex orgies.
Previous studies suggested that most boys lose their virginity at 16 or 17. But when we gathered 13-year-olds in a room and asked them if they'd had sex, they not only said yes, but they also were clear that sex was no big deal for them, that they weren't nervous before having it, and that when they do have sex, they do it for hours at a time.
And you discovered that these young teenagers have sex with nearly every attractive woman they know, including their babysitters, teachers, and even Hollywood celebrities.
10% of boys in junior high school say they received a blowjob from Katy Perry while they were on vacation in Los Angeles.
And what about teenage girls? Did your study find out anything new about their sexual habits?
We didn't talk to any teenage girls. The boys we surveyed told us not to because they'd probably just lie and deny it.
This is the Onion News Network.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Did you know that Free Aid is a mutual aid, educational, and networking organization? At Free Aid, we support volunteers who provide first aid. We do outreach to the public about health and safety, and we bring together medically skilled freedom lovers. Free Aid is made possible by your generous support. Donors can receive great gifts like first aid kits, t-shirts, silver dime cards, and hoodies. The Free Aid Silver Dime Card Project is sponsored in part by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage, Freedom's Phoenix, and Don't Tread on Meme. Visit fr33aid.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event, even with coupon code FTLEB. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTLEB for a discount.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
All right, welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom broadcast, as always, from the Liberty Radio studio here in Keene, New Hampshire. And I'm going to take a moment to remind you that our podcasts have moved and are no longer being uploaded to Spreaker. Instead, they can be found on Podbean at calltofreedomlive.podbean.com. It can also be found on Google Play Music and Spotify. It seems to be doing much better on Spotify than it is via Google Play by searching for the Call to Freedom.
You know, there's Spotify is a lot of people go there for music and for podcasts, but Google Play doesn't seem to be that popular for either music or talk.
And it's probably because it's not intuitive. If you could, I don't know why they segregated it off to its own section. I would much rather just have to hit the Google Play Store and search for Call to Freedom.
Yeah.
And have it search through totally apps, music, movies, ebooks, and everything until it finds the result. But instead, I have to install Google Play Music separately and search that. Yeah, it's very counterintuitive.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
And that's normally not the way Google does things. They're usually pretty good about merging those sorts of media types where, you know, you can search for Final Fantasy there on Google Play and it will result in a bunch of these games and a bunch of documents and things like that
right.
You may actually be looking for, but probably aren't. But anyway, we will be on iTunes eventually. I got caught up playing Smite last night and didn't complete the process. Actually, I went to sleep because I don't know why. I seem to do that on every single one of my days off.
Hey, sleep is important.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I sleep between like 4 a.m. and noonish. Usually, or sometimes earlier and sometimes later. Not usually later because I got to do makeup and stuff like that, and it's really easy to fall behind on that. But then I started playing Smite, and then I started streaming Smite, and then it was 2:30 in the morning, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to bed. So the iTunes thing didn't get handled last night, but it will be handled. I will probably go home today, eat, and then not going to lie, probably play Smite and then take a break and probably do it during the break. So probably 10 or 11 o'clock tonight.
Maybe.
Shortly after Free Talk Live is when I should be completing that process. And you'll be able to find them on iTunes after that. So, yeah. And then I can finally uninstall iTunes and get that monstrous piece of software off my computer. And it's going to be a happy day. Because apparently I did, in fact, finish the installation of iTunes when I initially did this like 6 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't proceed from there. I assume it was because iTunes was taking forever to install or update or something. I was like, screw it. I don't want to deal with this. So I just minimized it and forgot about it.
Right.
And then at some point my computer restarted or shut down or something because it crashes fairly often as a result of things I don't want to get into. I know what the problem is. I fix things like that for a living, not presently, but I went to college to fix things like that. I know exactly what's wrong with it. It's just not a big enough problem for me to deal with it. So I just restart it or shut it down and power it back on because it doesn't recover from a restart for the same exact reason. And I assume iTunes finished the installation at that point. But it was there, and I didn't have to finish setting up the account or anything like that. I actually finished with it, so I just have to Google how to submit the show to iTunes through the iTunes app, and it will be done.
Finally.
About a month and a half later, yeah. But hey, better late than never. People will finally be able, and I assume iTunes is going to automatically update, so they'll finally be able to listen to all of this year's episodes, basically all of this year's, everything from mid-February to today.
Everything that's on Podbean.
Yeah, I assume, because that's the source of all of these places, right? From there, it just sort of filters out to Spotify, Google Play Music, and soon iTunes. But it can already be listened to through iCatcher and other, iOS-compatible
podcast apps.
Applications. Yeah. See, I didn't even know what iCatcher was. I had to Google it because 17% of our listeners, 19%, same as Spotify, actually. I see Ian's point, though. Between iCatcher and Apple Podcasts, 35% of our listeners are coming to us from iOS. So it would make it easier for them and probably make it easier to promote, to just use iTunes. Or not use iTunes, but to have it
listed
go
in
to iTunes, yeah. Because Google Play Music certainly didn't help. I would be surprised if we've had even one ever Google Play Music listen. It may be there under others.
Could be.
There have been 2 others. The Podbean app is relatively... Oh, and this is just the last 4 days. So that's absolutely useless data to me. Anyway, so the government is finally going to stop murdering kittens in their bizarre quest to figure out this harmless parasite known as toxoplasma that causes the condition called toxoplasmosis in humans and cats who have been infected with it. And it is an absolute waste of time for anybody to even Google toxoplasmosis, because if you've ever been around a cat, you've absolutely had the parasite at some point and you were never aware of it, because it's just not an issue. But moving on to our other favorite devil in the room, YouTube evidently knew quite some time ago that these toxic videos were running rampant on its service, and that it ignored the warnings, letting them run rampant. I assume the toxic videos that it's referring to are going to be the child porn-ish ones?
The ones where people were commenting about which spots in the video had pictures of children that they were sexualizing, something like that.
Good God. Well, they seem to be targeting conspiracy theories. I would have assumed that's what they were talking about, but a year ago, Susan good Lord, that is a Romanian name if I ever saw one, was on stage to defend YouTube. Her company, hammered for months for fueling falsehoods online, was reeling from another flare-up involving a conspiracy theory video about the Parkland, Florida high school shooting that suggested the victims were crisis actors. Now, is Parkland the one where the cop ran and hid?
Yeah, Parkland is the one where the cop ran and hid.
That's the only thing I remember about that one. But, not even going to try. The YouTube CEO is a reluctant public ambassador, but she was in Austin at the South by Southwest Conference to unveil a solution that she hoped would help quell conspiracy theories. A tiny text box from websites like Wikipedia that would sit below videos that question well-established facts, like the moon landing, and link viewers to the truth.
Yeah, that works so well on Facebook. Let's try it on YouTube.
Yeah, these people... Facebook pissed me off with theirs because there was this video about an animal, an elephant giving a ride. There was a GIF or a video or a picture about an elephant giving a ride to some animal that couldn't cross a river or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he picked it up in its trunk and carried it off. And of course, it was a fake picture. It was 100% photoshopped. But it had this heartwarming story about the elephant helping this other animal and how it's proof that animals can love and all these other things. And Facebook was like, this is fake news. Sorry, this didn't actually happen. Like, you know what? Screw you, Facebook. You let the Russian hysteria run amok, right? And here you've got this cute little elephant who is helping out some other little animal, and you're like, nope, people need to know.
Fake news.
Yeah, people need to know that this is fake. What jerks, man. Priorities, Facebook. Of course, their priorities are to hack people. Well, not hack, but to get people's email passwords so that they can steal all their contacts without their permission.
And advertise to them.
And advertise to them, yeah.
And make them depressed so they'll buy more stuff.
Prominent conspiracy theories on YouTube, including one on child vaccinations, another tying Hillary Clinton to a satanic cult. Mark Dice is a big advocate of that type of conspiracy. He thinks that everyone in Washington is a pedophile and a member of a satanic cult. Like, he's got a video of scientists at CERN taking part in what he characterizes as a satanic ritual.
A satanic ritual? What were they actually doing?
I have no idea what they were doing. I haven't watched the video. He doesn't make stuff up, in my experience. He may be incorrect, but he's not just making things up, usually. Maybe he does, but he is a hardcore Christian. He wrote a book about how Satan had taken over Hollywood. Full-blown lunatic, hates trans people. I made a video to him. I think he watched it because he got kind of pissy at me on Twitter shortly after that. He's a lot of his videos are really good because he will go out and he will ask average people in California, which is I think where he lives now, questions about politics and things like that in order to get their answer. He's not the first guy to do this. There was Kesem G who did the On California series, which was great and hilarious because he's a funny guy, where he would go around asking Californians their opinions on various things. And Mark Dice does it more about political knowledge and geographic knowledge and things like that. And it's shocking how stupid the average person is. Those surveys about can you name the 3 branches of government, they're more real than you think. And you can replicate these feats yourself by going and asking random people to name them and seeing what they say. But this is the Call to Freedom, and we'll be back in just a moment to get into more things.
This is a special alert for business owners, consultants, coaches, folks planning retirement, entrepreneurs, and anyone who is saving and investing to build a financial future. You are likely aware that financial privacy for most people has recently died a miserable death. And let's face it, without privacy, there really is no security, is there? Bankrupt governments and banks on the verge of collapse are perhaps the biggest threat to your financial future today. The Lighthouse Law Club recognizes this and has been working diligently to provide safe, secure, and productive tools to ensure your privacy, your financial security, and your future financial well-being, despite the catastrophes which many people fear are looming ahead of us. Find out more with a variety of free videos on the YouTube channel for Lighthouse Law Club. Just search YouTube for Lighthouse Law Club and secure your future today.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio is great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,293. Silver at $15.08, and Bitcoin is trading around $5,134. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, a former Mississippi cop has learned her fate after she pleaded guilty to leaving her 3-year-old daughter strapped in her hot patrol car until she died, as the cop had sex with her supervisor inside his home. Former Long Beach police officer Cassie Barker will spend the next 20 years behind bars for the death of her 3-year-old daughter. The Free Thought Project reports that her sentence was handed down Monday, with the judge telling Barker that she failed in her responsibility to protect and serve as a mother and as a police officer. On September 30th, 2016, Barker strapped her 3-year-old daughter into a car seat in the back of her patrol car and entered her supervisor's home for a midday romp. Barker knew the air conditioner did not work, but nevertheless turned on the vent and went inside. As her daughter sat strapped in her deathbed, Barker had sex with Officer Clark Ladner inside the home. After the deed had been done, Barker and Ladner then fell asleep. Authorities said little Cheyenne Barker's body temperature reached 107 degrees before she died. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Bray Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Bray Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybraybotanicals.com. And right now, Liberty Beat listeners can save 10% by using promo code SNLS at checkout. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, online at snls.news and libertybeat.news. I'm Mick Murrow. Your news now continues. Lawyers for an American journalist who believes he was placed on the government's infamous kill list warned Tuesday that the rights of all U.S. citizens are at stake if the country's drone assassination program is allowed to continue. Activist Post reports the organization's comments came as part of a response to the U.S. government's attempt to dismiss a lawsuit regarding its use of the list. Reprieve is representing Bilal Abdul Karim, a journalist and U.S. citizen, who claims he was repeatedly targeted and nearly killed on 5 separate occasions by drone and missile attacks in 2016, when he was reporting on the ongoing conflict in Syria. Karim joined an Al Jazeera journalist in 2017 in a lawsuit against the government, demanding that the Trump administration remove their names from the kill list of potential targets for the U.S. drone program. If the government manages to have the lawsuit dismissed, legal experts warn it will allow the Trump administration and future presidents to secretly place any American on a kill list without telling them why, before stripping them of their constitutional rights to due process. Last week, Utah Governor Gary Herbert signed a bill into law that requires police to get a warrant before accessing data stored in the cloud. The new law will not only increase privacy protections in Utah, it will also hinder the federal surveillance state. Activist Post reports that Representative Craig Hall, a Republican from West Valley City, sponsored the House bill. The new law prohibits law enforcement agencies from accessing electronic information or data transmitted to a remote computing service without a warrant based on probable cause in most situations. In effect, it will prohibit police from warrantlessly accessing information uploaded into the cloud. The House passed the bill by a 71-0 vote. The Senate approved the measure 23-0. With Herbert's signature, the new law will go into effect May 14th. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting with the latest edition of the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
A harrowing situation on Broad Street came to its conclusion Thursday night as a group of hostages were freed from local comedy club The Laugh Up Lounge after a tense 7-minute stand-up set.
Every once in a while, he'd grab his notebook, and I'd think maybe this is it. Maybe he's gonna let us go. But he just kept talking.
Additionally, The Onion recovered this video footage from the cell phone of one of the many captives.
Please, if someone sees this, help us. Please help us.
Micromanagement. You guys are totally gonna wang it out.
Oh my God. Oh my God, no.
Cool.
I'm not a religious person, but at one point I said the Lord's Prayer, and it actually had a calming effect, like Jesus was standing next to me and said, "You're gonna get through this."
I mean, sometimes you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know, don't take life for granted, because you just never know when something like this could happen. So.
This is the Onion News Network. Oh!
All right, welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom broadcast, as always, from the Liberty Radio Studio here in King, New Hampshire. I'm your host, as always, Aria DeMesso, author of Dancing in Hellfire, which you can find on Amazon. And I'm joined in the studio today by
Michael Hampton from BitcoinHistory.com.
And we've got more Facebook news, more shockingly bad for Facebook.
Hot off
news.
The press.
Yep. Apparently, 540 million Facebook user records have been exposed online, including passwords, comments, and more. That sucks.
This is a pretty good sized breach.
Yeah, that's probably, I don't know how many people use Facebook.
It's about 2 billion.
So, about 25% of their users then. That sucks. Wow. Researchers at the cybersecurity firm UpGuard on Wednesday said they had discovered the existence of 2 data sets, together containing the personal data of hundreds of millions of Facebook users. Both were left publicly accessible.
Very nice.
Good God. In a blog post, UpGuard connected one of the leaky databases to a Mexico-based media company called Cultura Colectiva. The data set reportedly contains over 146 gigabytes of data, which amounts to over 540 million Facebook user records, including comments, likes, reactions, account names, Facebook user IDs, and more. Kudos to them for gathering that amount of data, I guess. I'm actually surprised that it's such a small amount of data. 146 gigabytes is not a lot for that much information.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty small.
A second leak, UpGuard said. Remember how last week we talked about how Facebook had totally never lost anyone's passwords or whatever it was?
Yeah, totally never.
A second leak, UpGuard said, was connected to a Facebook integrated app called At the Pool and had exposed roughly 22,000 passwords. The passwords are presumably for the At the Pool app rather than for the user's Facebook account, but would put users at risk who have reused the same password across accounts. Well, that's going to be true of anyone.
Yeah, lots of people do that. It's a bad practice, but lots of people do it.
I mean, especially in someone's early days on the internet before they really learned these things. Like way back in the day when I was a little kid in school, and if I had to enter my email address and there was a box under it asking for password, I didn't know whether they were actually asking for my email address as password. In every single case, it turned out to be that they were asking me to create a password for that specific website.
Yeah, make up a new one.
But I didn't have the knowledge then, being a stupid 10-year-old, to be aware of that.
And nobody told you because, well,
the internet was still new then.
The internet was new, and your parents sure didn't know. Right?
No, we didn't have the internet at home. This happened at school. No, my parents thought the internet was the Antichrist because.
That was going around for a while, wasn't it?
Because the computer binary code is 666, is what they thought.
Oh my.
Yeah, they were nuts. My parents didn't believe that. My dad did. Both data sets were stored in unsecured Amazon S3 buckets and could be accessed by virtually anyone. Neither was password protected.
Of course not.
The buckets have since been secured or taken offline. The data sets vary in when. Now, I think that's kind of reckless of UpGuard to make this public in the way that they have. I would think contacting these companies to say, hey.
Well, they made it public after the data sets were taken down.
Did they? Well, yeah, but is that by coincidence? Is that because the company was like, oh, people have found out about this. We've learned it from the media, so we need to take it down.
Well, as far as I can tell, they took the information down and then told the press.
I don't know why you're asserting that. There is literally nothing here about that. It does not say they notified the companies
keep going,
prior.
I will find out.
The data sets vary in when they were last updated, the data points present, and the number of unique individuals in each. What ties them together is that they both contain data about Facebook users, describing their interests, relationships, and interactions that were available to third-party developers. UpGuard added, as Facebook faces scrutiny over its data stewardship practices, they have made efforts to reduce third-party access. Not very good efforts, clearly. But as these exposures show, the data giant cannot be put back in the bottle. Data about Facebook users has been spread far beyond the bounds of what Facebook can control today.
Okay, yes, they did notify the company back in January.
Okay, that's good. It's not in this article. Facebook's policies prohibit storing Facebook information in a public database, said Facebook at 2:30 p.m. Once alerted to this issue, we worked with Amazon to take down the databases.
The reason they worked with Amazon to take down the databases is because the company ignored them.
Really?
Yeah, they contacted the company on January 10th. Nothing happened. On February 21st, they contacted Amazon for the second time because those S3 buckets were still there. It was not until April the 3rd when Bloomberg was poking around about this, that Amazon finally pulled down those S3 buckets, but they never heard back from the company.
Okay, so UpGuard did try to handle this.
Yeah, they tried,
but neither the company who was holding the data did anything about it, and neither did Amazon.
Not until the press started poking around.
Well, Amazon has probably about the same amount of information about people as Facebook. It has a different type of information, but it certainly knows quite a bit about their average user too. Luckily, we're not constantly hearing these sorts of stories out of Amazon, so it really makes you wonder, what is Facebook's problem? Google isn't doing this. Amazon isn't doing it.
We never hear about this with Google, Amazon, whatever.
MySpace never did it. Twitter isn't doing it. Twitter isn't constantly in the news for violating people's privacy and snooping their information. So I think at this point,
Facebook.
You know, I'm glad that I'm no longer on Facebook, but I'm gaining a new perspective on it, and it's perhaps because I'm no longer on Facebook. But at this point, I have to say, Facebook, it absolutely is not a social media platform. It's a data mining platform.
Yeah.
And that's all it does.
And you're the data.
Yeah, and it allows you to communicate with other people, sure, but only because that's necessary for its primary purpose, which is to collect information about you and treat it frivolously, far more frivolously than any rational, sane person would expect a tech giant to do.
Well,
I mean, we don't see Apple doing it. We don't see Google, Amazon, Spotify, or any of these other companies just routinely abusing their access to people's data.
Developers.
What do you mean?
That's what it is. It's app developers. That's where this came from, is the developers of this silly app.
Well, only 22,000 of them came from the silly app. They didn't say how the 500 million one got compiled. They said that the At the Root app, or whatever it was, had 22,000 associated with it. Okay. And it had access to the same amount of information, and the same types of information. But even so, maybe if Facebook can't control the actual data, or can't keep a tight enough grip on it that things like this doesn't happen, maybe they shouldn't allow people to tie app accounts and things like that to their Facebook accounts.
Yeah, that might help.
Facebook definitely needs to get their house in order, because this is egregious. I don't know what's worse. The 500 million accounts being hacked, or having all of their information publicly available. One would assume that some percentage of those, if you're a listener of the show, you're probably in that list. You know, your data for Facebook, your likes, your comments, your friends, your acquaintances, all of that kind of crap, as well as your password, were publicly available in this gigantic list of users, along with, 500 million other people. Or the story we talked about earlier, which was Facebook, for some bizarre reason, asking for people's email passwords and getting them and using that information to steal their contact information.
Yeah, it's Facebook being evil.
Now, but again, installing the Twitter app or the Google Plus app, if there even is a Google Plus app anymore, or the Hangouts app, or any of these other social media apps, they don't have any of these problems. Is it because they're not big enough? Or is it just because the culture at Facebook is so toxic and so fixated on squeezing every bit of data out of every single user that security and just basic common sense internet practices get pushed to the wayside? Well, this is the Call to Freedom. We're going to dig into other topics, so don't go anywhere.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This is novelist Tom Robbins. When my mother was diagnosed with glaucoma, her conservative Virginia physician told her there was only one treatment that might ease her pain and save her eyesight. That treatment was medical marijuana, which he could not prescribe. I offered to get her some and teach her how to use it effectively, but my father objected because marijuana was against the law. So my mother, who loved to read and walk in nature, was condemned to grow cruelly, unnecessarily blind. Tragedies like this happen all the time, but they don't have to keep happening. To learn more about medical marijuana, call the Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or visit them on the web at mpp.org.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. As always, you're invited to give us a call at 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160. Or if you prefer clearer quality, you can use the Discord calling lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm. You can also join in the conversation there because it's always interesting. And there is a special room dedicated to the people who just tagged me there on Discord.
Yeah, the toxic user room, not going there. Whoever you were, I didn't see it, and I'm not going to.
Oh, it's James. Oh, well, I don't know who tagged you. He tagged me. He always does. Mouth-breathing dullard. It amazes me how proud he is of his... I mean, what is this guy's problem?
His command of vocabulary is what, 6th grade?
I don't know, but his computer literacy is higher than 6th grade because he clearly has something macroed, because he types it exactly the same way every single time, never any typos, and he's full of typos. Like, he can barely type a sentence without at least one typo in it.
There are keyboards with macro things built in, right?
Yeah, I know, but the average mouth-breathing dullard isn't capable of that, right? But he clearly is. And Mark just walked into the studio. He actually explained to us the other day, or maybe it was Ian, how all of this crap with James started in the first place. I no longer remember what you said.
Well, he called in the first time complaining, or, making the case for the United States military having dropped atomic weapons on Japan in 1945. And, we disagreed because we're peaceniks, and
Right.
peaceniks disagree with using violence. We use the best arguments that there are. And I'll admit, there are some libertarian arguments for the having dropped the bombs, right? Like they leafleted the area in both Nagasaki, Hiroshima, and one other city. They said, we're going to drop bombs, and the Japanese people didn't leave. That's an argument in that direction. The fact that they dropped the bombs really to show Russia that they could drop the bombs, not to actually make Japan safe for American military members to invade. That wasn't really the plan. You can really just sort of take a look. But nonetheless, he disagreed, and he became angry. And then
he is definitely angry.
At some other point, there we called him like more or less a Muslim hater. Like there was some on the line kind of stuff. Like for him, it's Islamists, because this terminology means something beyond a Muslim to him. But after that, now we've escalated to, this, that, and the other. Then at some point he was upset that he wasn't getting enough time on the air. At that moment, I did a calculation. Like when he began to complain about himself getting not enough time on the air, he was on more than any co-host that we had on the air at that time. He had gotten more airtime than anybody but Ian and I.
Wow.
At that moment, who was on the air at that time.
Right.
And that wasn't enough.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it's never going to be enough because I don't agree with him. It's not about how much time he gets. If he just called in and said, I believe that we should have dropped bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and I said, you're right, James. I'm sorry. I got it wrong. That would have been anything, because it's not about, for people who disagree, it's not about how much time they get on the air to explain their point. They don't think about the 500,000 freaking people that get to hear their point, and that if they make it well, they may very well change those people's mind. They care about my opinion, and if I disagree with them, I'm bad, wrong, and didn't give them enough time, because God knows they're convincing enough that they'll be able to take somebody whose living it is to be a peacenik libertarian, and they'll change their mind right there on the air, because that's the kind of person they are. And if don't have my mind changed, I must be a bad person. Dealing with this is frustrating as a talk show host, I got to tell you.
Well, luckily, I don't think we really have any of those going on yet. We do have someone who randomly disagrees with us about things. That would be Rev, but he seems to be more thankful that we're willing to give him airtime and doesn't view it as something that he's entitled to.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's lots of people who are happy to call in and disagree on things, and that's what talk radio is about. No problems there. It's just that,
sometimes you get mouth-breathing dullards.
Yes. Well, that's what talk radio is about, is sadly, it tends to attract some crazy people.
It does.
What are you going to do?
It does.
Speaking of Rev.
Oh, did he call in?
No, he did not. I was talking about the crazy people thing.
Oh, is Rev crazy?
That's
your claim?
Possibly.
He is unique.
Okay.
I would say.
He's very often drunk.
Joe Biden is he is very often drunk.
The difference between an intoxicated person and a crazy person is vanishingly similar, except that the intoxicated person can straighten up at some point.
That's true.
The crazy person's just crazy.
It was really entertaining yesterday. He just sort of called in and yelled at Chris for like 10 minutes.
Chris
Wade,
okay.
Yeah. And I still don't know what he was trying to ask.
Okay.
It was something about the Muslims in Saudi Arabia who are homophobic and kill gay people.
Yeah, he never quite would get around to his point.
I think his point was something like, if these Muslims are going to take over America, what are you going to do then? I think that is what he was getting at, because that's the worldview they.
Is it the Muslims are trying to take over?
Yeah, but the Muslims are not taking over America.
Well, they're not, and one of the reasons they're not taking over America is the social welfare state in the United States is different than it is in Europe. In Europe, you can show up with a freaking turban and a hijab on, and you can say, we're here, take care of us. And the social welfare state kicks in. Immediately begins taking care of them in some way, shape, or form. Then Abdul goes out and he gets a job. And maybe he brings some money in, and then Abdullah, she stays at home, and she takes care of the kids and that kind of thing. And because they're making money, like they have a job and the social welfare state are kicked in, then Abdullah doesn't have to go out and get a job like Mary and Bill, right? So Mary and Bill work, and Mary isn't going to put up with Bill's crap because Mary talks to Sally, and Sally and Mary understand how a man should act. Now they're probably wrong, but that doesn't make a difference. They have an opinion, but Abdullah, she's not getting to talk to Sally and Mary. If she did, pretty soon Abdullah's going to be wearing jeans and she's going to throw that headscarf away. Maybe her daughter. I don't know, but at some point or another, she's going to put up with a lot less of Abdul's crap, and that's what I think ultimately the problem in Europe is that, well, if you there's no opportunity for assimilation, and in the United States there has to be, because social welfare programs don't work quite the same.
That's a really interesting perspective. I'd never
heard it put quite that way.
I've never given it any thought in that particular capacity. To me, I don't really care if they come here and want to assimilate or not, as long as they don't kill people and commit
If
aggression.
Abdul steps out of line, we have 600,000 guns in this country to take care of him. I don't have a problem with shooting foreigners that come and act, in some way that is antisocial. I don't have a problem with that.
I don't care if they're foreigners. If they're going to threaten me, then
there you go.
Game on.
Not an issue. The problem is government, not immigration. Again and again and again. Like, it's easy to build the government up to prevent immigration because every libertarian knows that statism is easier than libertarianism.
Oh, absolutely.
Statists love statism.
This is the Call to Freedom. We're going to be back with more of this discussion about statism and apparently immigration, because that's a topic I want to explore further, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
When commercials come on, don't push the button. Instead, listen. Even if you don't sell things for a living, you're still selling in the various conversations and transactions that make up your busy day. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're a job seeker. So take a lesson from Madison Avenue. Often the fewer words, the more effective the message. Like Jiffy Lube, where you never need an appointment, or the Office Max ad that says, you supply the ambition, we supply everything else. How about online ticket broker StubHub.com, the way in when it's sold out, or CyberCupidMatch.com's seductive, go ahead, it's okay to look. How cleverly and succinctly can you distill your message? For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. As always, you're invited to give us a call. That number is 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160. Or you can use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm. And we weren't really discussing anything when mouth-breathing dullard went dullard on Discord.
Is that was James, right? He called us a mouth-breathing dullard. And...
No, he calls himself that.
Oh, he calls himself that.
It's because I called him that one time.
And then Mark came in, and of course, Mark is the person with whom all of this originated, so wanted to ask him about that. And then we got to talk.
By the way, James originally didn't threaten me nearly as much. I don't say that much about him. Right. Mostly just don't interact. But he was on hot to trot on Ian and then Vincent and people like that. But the thing that he's found is that threatening my son gets him attention. So he threatens my son and then complains about whomever it is he's talking all at the same time, as though my 11-year-old child has anything to do with any of his problems. Now, he'll say that Jack shouldn't exist because I should be in prison, but what really does that have to do with anything? I mean,
nothing.
Are we going to go around eliminating all the people that shouldn't exist by whatever arbitrary yardstick we decide to employ? I mean, that's truly the mind of a crazy person there.
Yeah, and that's not even libertarian. So,
well, James doesn't claim to be libertarian. James claims to be Christian.
That's not Christian.
No.
No, it's certainly not.
James bears no resemblance to a Christian, but if you say so, he will then say you're not Christian. James, I didn't say I was a Christian.
I didn't either.
It's like it. Well, I mean, there's a reason people call him crazy.
I did read the Bible. I did read the Ten Commandments. I
didn't used to think he was crazy, but I've come to the conclusion that he is.
My interactions with him have been pretty limited, but absolutely every time he goes on about me being trans or whatever, dude looks like a lady is what he prefers to call me.
Okay.
He always does seem
You are a dude that looks like a lady. I mean, really.
I mean, I'm kind of honored he says that, because there's so many worse things. Like you still look like a man. That would be more insulting. James, if you want to insult me, that would be a better avenue than telling me I look like a chick. That doesn't insult me. That's by design. That's intentional, right? But he does always seem to mention your son anytime he goes on about it.
Right. And have you ever met Jack?
Yeah.
You saw him once? Okay,
yeah.
Right. So there you go. You have met him one time, but the the appropriateness of insulting you and then dragging my son into it, hoping that he suffers, hoping that my son suffers. Crazy stuff.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
There's no way that he can say these things and it doesn't get back to Jack at some point. It has gotten back to him. He asks about James at this point. So now James has turned himself, like this good Christian American supporting patriot, how he sees himself, has turned himself into a child's boogeyman, a nightmare. Like, that's what's wrong with this dude. He's so messed up.
Well, he's definitely messed up.
He's the biggest threat
and he's dumb.
in an 11-year-old's life. I mean, he's not a pedophile. At least I don't think he's a pedophile. I just like saying pedophile and James together in the same sentence. But, I mean, he might as well be one. He's threatening a kid.
Yeah.
And...
Well, has he ever actually directly threatened?
Oh, yes.
He has?
Yes. He makes direct threats. And then...
I know he says he's going to enjoy it when something happens.
Right. He'll say that.
Which is so sick.
But by the way, if you shoot a man center of mass after he says he's going to enjoy seeing your 11-year-old suffer, you get taken to trial and you ask the jury, was I defending myself? I think you might fly. Just saying. Because, I mean, like,
That's iffy, though.
There's no team of lawyers standing around when a threat's issued. A threat that sounds like that's only really, like something that's just threatening but really, really close to the line. Like, I sure would like it if some crazy person from Arizona beat your face into the curb until your teeth came out over and over again, and that your son suffered afterward. Like, saying things like that. That's a threat. Whether or not, you can parse and tease out the smallest amount of, if you were to look at this and say, no, that's not how threats work. That's not how common law treats threats.
Did he say all of this on one episode of Free Talk Live?
Oh, I've got, if you want to go to Things James Whittakind, you go to Facebook.com, search Things James Whittakind Says, you will see 5 years worth of threats from this lunatic.
Oh my God, that's
going
amazing.
back. And like he says, he'll say, I didn't threaten you. But look at the quotes. There's quote marks around this crap for a reason.
Right.
I mean, I cut and paste this stuff. I didn't change it. None of it's been changed. If it had been changed, let's just say it had been changed. Stop saying stuff like this and making it close, right? Oh well, I've obviously got close enough that he's got a case against me. I mean, this is basically documentation, an affidavit of the threats that have been made by this guy over the course of 5 years.
Who admins this page?
I do.
Awesome.
I run this page every time I see something from him. At this point, I've got people that are mad at me that I continue to update the page because he's like, well, this guy's threatening. Yes, of course he's threatening. Well, we'll stop, interacting with him. How do I do that? If I make the Discord so that he, let's say we block his IP, right?
Right.
He's just going to use a VPN. There's free VPNs out there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like he has before.
Is he that deranged? I mean, has he used a VPN to get around?
I don't know about that, but I know that he's changed his account name in the past. So, if you kick him out, he just comes back with another account name. And
that's a sick level of obsession all by itself.
It is.
Yeah, he's nuts.
Without even getting into
Knuckin' Futz.
Talking about
Change your name to that,
11-year-old son.
James, Knuckin' Futz.
Knuckin' Futz. I would like to see that as well.
Let's see
it. Certainly needs to be changed from Mouth Breathing Dullard. It's kind of gotten a bit old hat at this point. Yeah. You've been using that one a bit too long. I want to go back and listen to these clips.
No, they're quotes.
Okay. You don't have them in video form or anything like that?
I have a couple.
Okay. Awesome.
Vincent has put those together off of his show specifically, where, of course, Vincent, who has never met my son that I can think of, maybe once, then gets threatened with Jack's name being thrown in. I don't know. It's really crazy stuff.
Well, I thought he was banned from calling Free Talk Live.
He is. But
so there wouldn't be audio clips.
Well, not anymore. But there certainly were plenty before that. Ian loves this stuff. Ian loves getting threatened. So
I can relate.
He just thinks it's great. He wants as much of that as he can get.
Well, there's definitely a trolling, humorous aspect to it.
It's funny
when it happens. Yeah, it is.
It's funny if you don't have a family, right?
I guess that's
like
the
suddenly
catch, yeah.
That's when it changes. Things get changed because you can't control this stuff. He's talked about burning my house down with my wife and child in it. He calls my wife an ugly dog. Right? Like things, just miserable stuff. I don't know that he's ever seen my wife, mind you, just says it to be, he'll say anything, obviously.
Right.
I mean, if you'll threaten an 11-year-old innocent child's life, you'll say anything.
Yeah, all bets are off at that point. Right. So he said that he wanted to burn your house down while your wife and your son were in it.
Yes. He's also says that I'm learning jujitsu to protect myself against him. Which is funny. But you would think that he would, I mean, like, if it's been 5 years, right? Like, the dumbest, slowest, most mentally deranged, you have to be basically in a coma to not be able to put together the funds to get an airline ticket from Phoenix, Arizona to Manchester, New Hampshire, and then figure out some way to get to Keene, and then implement some of these threats that he's put in place. Like, clearly, he's just about making threats. Otherwise, he would have done something.
Speaking of Manchester, Jay Noon actually told me earlier that there is an Odinist group here in New Hampshire, and they meet once a week in Manchester.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I have heard of them, heard of the Odinist groups. But
I didn't even know they existed until last night when it was brought to my attention. I find it surprising that anyone would sincerely worship.
Oh, I think it's just a cover for like racism.
That's what I thought. But he mentioned that there was even a Free Stater who is involved in it, and nothing about the Free State Project or even libertarianism requires somebody to not be racist.
I don't think they really think like the Midgard serpent circles the earth. I think they just like the idea, and some of them just like the idea of their ancestors, the same religion their ancestors had.
Yeah,
and that's all.
That's not a good reason to believe something.
But some of them are definitely racist.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event, even with coupon code FTLEB. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTLEB for a discount.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Don't you hate that feeling in the pit of your stomach when the police pull you over? Most people have no idea how to handle it properly, and they promptly get fed into the municipal fee-generating meat grinder. Or maybe you recall that feeling you get when you go to the mailbox and see one or more letters from the IRS. You get a sense of impending doom, don't you? So let me ask you, if you could learn how to use the law to beat the IRS, traffic tickets, almost any courtroom scenario, collectors, credit card debt, and even mortgage debt because of fraud perpetrated against you, would that be worth knowing about? Don't laugh. Investigate. Check out the life-changing benefits of the Lighthouse Law Club at their website, lighthouselaw.club. That's lighthouselaw.club. And while you're at it, visit the Lighthouse Law Club YouTube channel. You might be in for a pleasant surprise.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. This is the final segment of the show. Maybe you listen regularly and would want to know how you can show your support. Well, social media shares certainly go a long way, but so does cash, and you can do so on Patreon by using patreon.com/call-to-freedom. Our wonderful patrons there are currently helping to keep the show up and running, including the podcast at calltofreedomlive.podbean.com and the website at calltofreedomlive.com. And we can't thank them enough for showing their support by helping us to keep our efforts ongoing. Once more, that's patreon.com/call-to-freedom if you would like to check it out. And we've been talking about trolls here because realistically, I think that at this point, 5 years later of empty threats and just absolute stupidity, James Whittakin, who you can find on the internet because of his DUI arrest records, he claims there is only one, when in fact there are at least three that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I don't really understand that. I thought it was two. I don't know. I mean, but apparently, if you say that there are more than what the number that he gives you at that moment, then
he gets very butthurt.
Yeah, he gets really upset about it.
But I think at this point it's fair to characterize him as a troll, which is interesting because we actually had a troll attempt to get on the air earlier, and we just sort of screened the call, and I left him on hold through a segment. Then he called back to try to get on again, and I just hit the drop button. But it was really strange. He claimed to be a Twitch streamer with 1,200 viewers.
Okay.
And then I clicked his name, and there's 0 videos, 0 broadcasts, 12 followers.
Obviously no viewers.
Yeah.
Well, he's got 12 people to follow him, and he hasn't put any videos up. That's pretty good.
It was. I found the number strange as well, that he would have any number of followers.
Right. Why follow somebody who has no videos?
Yeah.
I guess have a Twitch account, but it doesn't have any followers.
I guess because of what they auto-host or something like that. So I would imagine that in those events, following them is sort of like following somebody on Facebook or Twitter. And that, you see things, if your interests align with theirs, then you would see what they're currently playing. Okay. That would be my guess. But
okay,
he's certainly not a streamer with 1,200 views or anything like that. And what was strange about it was, like, you can even, click my name and verify that I'm this streamer and I want to do a show with you. I can interview you or you can interview me. The whole thing was weird, right? So I clicked the name and sure enough, just a troll. And then Then I was told that the toxic user room there on Discord has just been blowing up with toxic users, which, as far as trolling goes, is probably the most pointless trolling ever, because nobody is going to go there accidentally. They're only going to go there if they want to revel and bask in the trolling, like I do.
Yeah, I went in there a couple of times and messed with one guy. One guy's like, "Why am I here? Inward, inward, inward." And I'm like, it might be the inward. And then another guy's like, "Inward, what am I here for?" It's just, okay, well,
that's why you're there.
Right. And I'm like, yuck it up, fellas. I don't care.
Yeah, that's literally what that room is for.
So I don't go in there.
But it did produce some gems of comedy, and I think Ian would agree with that. I don't remember who it was at this point, but I had put them in the toxic user room, and I found out later that Ian had put them there in the past as well. But they were let out by Jackie appealing to Ian to let him out or something. I don't remember what the username was, but he was spamming chat, so I flagged him as toxic. And Ian said something to the effect of, "If you say you want to get banged by a chick with a penis, I will let you out." And sure enough, the next thing this guy said was exactly that. And there are screenshots of him saying this, like he wanted out of the toxic user room that bad.
Oh, my.
And kudos to him. He has behaved well, as far as I'm aware, since then. So it does seem to putting him on the LRN jail.
So yeah, if you're stuck in the toxic user room, now you know how to get out.
The toxic user room it seems to have been a really great idea, because it's not just banning people; it gives them some place to go to be a-holes.
Yeah,
and that's what they want to do. And here you go. Go have some fun. And then some people come in, they mess with them, they'll leave. I mean, sometimes I go in the toxic user zone every, once a week. Other times I don't go in for 2 months.
Yeah.
I have totally banned James Whittekine from speaking to me, but there's plenty of things going on in there, and sometimes people will quote him or whatever, and then I can see a little bit, whatever.
What's interesting is that I have him blocked on Discord as well. If he says something to me, I have to click the little thing to show the blocked message. I see that the LRN Studio has him blocked as well. And I wonder how many other people have gotten sick of his crap and blocked. Because he found us on Facebook and continued his little asinine diatribes there, calling Will E-mom, and that's E like an e-cigarette, and the word mom like your mother.
Okay. No, I just right-click on that and mark as red, and it's gone.
See, I don't want to flag it as red, though, because there's nothing. I mean, because I did read it, but it's already auto-scrolling to the bottom anyway. But yeah. Getting notifications from him is sort of a highlight of my month, really, because it doesn't happen often. But I do like popping in there occasionally and seeing that, hey, he is still at it. That's the spirit.
God.
Never give up,
The kind of time this guy has to have stuck with just trolling the heck out of LRN. I mean, if it makes you angry, don't do it.
Yeah.
This is advice to everybody, not to James Whittekine. Advice to everybody. If you get this mad at something, stop doing it. I mean, this is what I do on Facebook. When I see somebody, one of my friends has, they just post too much political stuff or whatever, and I don't like seeing it, I just mute them.
Yeah.
You don't have to unfriend them. You can just stop getting notifications from them or whatever it is that you do. There's tricks. Don't do. Your life is too short. You have a few short decades left in your life. Do not give it to a-holes.
Absolutely.
That's
a good
advice.
sentiment, yeah.
I just stop doing it. Stop giving a-holes your mind space. The only thing you have is the real estate in your brain, and when you give it to a-holes, you lose.
Well, I think that's why I revel so much in being trolled, is because it tells me that I am, in fact, taking up headspace in these people, and they clearly cannot get me out of their heads, for better or worse. I find it funny.
True. Yep.
I realize most people wouldn't. And if you have kids that are getting dragged into it, it's certainly not funny.
If you're unhappy, and you don't sound unhappy, but if you're unhappy, don't do it. If you're happy, do it. I think that's
Fair
really
enough,
what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
I don't want to do that stuff generally online, but admittedly, it draws me in here and there. Every month or so on Facebook, somebody will say something that, that's economically illiterate. I'm going to fix that. And nope, it's right. I didn't. Once again, I did not fix it. You cannot fix these people's reasoning because they don't want it fixed. They're not there for you to fix it.
I gave up about a year ago trying to argue with people on Facebook because it was like you said earlier about the callers just wanting you to hear their opinion or whatever, wanting you to agree with them. Because that's all it was I was just stating my opinion, wanting them to agree with me, but there was never any prospect that any change was going to happen. Even if I did have the time to lay out this 3,000-word essay on why they needed to change their minds.
Writing an essay for an idiot.
Yeah. They were never going to read it, and they were going to be proud of that ignorance. I'm not reading that mass of garbage. Like, dude, I read that while sitting on the crapper this morning. What is your aversion to words and intellect and intellectual reasoning that it's causing you to have such disdain for the written word?
Not going to happen.
No.
It's not going to happen.
And that's so common. I think it's a remnant of that high school jock mentality that we cultivated for so long here in the United States, and it's continuing to be cultivated today, where if you're smart, you're a nerd, you're bad, you're dumb, you're antisocial, you're all of these bad characteristics. But if you're dumb, you're the cool kid. Because it was in high school, at least for me, it was cool to be dumb. You don't want to be the one with all of the answers. And I think that carries over into the internet today, where people on YouTube still think it's cool to be dumb, and that manifests with them saying, like, I'm not reading that wall of text.
Yeah, in high school, all the popular kids were into athletics, and they disdained anything that had anything to do with intelligence above, say, an IQ of 90. So,
I don't know if I would want to put it that low, and especially
I'd put it that low.
There weren't our jocks at our high school weren't that bad. Some of them were relatively.
I went to the high
intelligent.
school that served the inner city kids.
Well, that's its own problem.
And
I
that
mean,
was
really.
its own. Yeah, that's its own problem. But yeah, I would.
Those don't get the best government funding. But, let's give those same deprived inner city schools government health care so they can get the same level and quality of health care that they get in education.
Right.
One of the things I think about school is that once you have an institution that is so corrupted that you, for instance, have a place of education where people value the opposite. Like you have that level of corruption going on, there's no turning it around. You can't change it. It's like it's somehow in the walls or whatever. It isn't going to happen. You've got to break it and start all over again.
That's what unschooling people attempt to do, is it not? It's sort of like homeschooling, except it's a conscious and deliberate effort.
I'm keeping my kids away from your broken kids with their stupid mentality about learning. Yes, that's what's happening.
That's an excellent plan, by the way.
Your kids are messed up.
They are.
I'm keeping my kid away.
This has been The Call to Freedom. Thank you for listening, but don't go anywhere because Free Talk Live is coming up next.
Free Talk Live.
The Supreme Court has ruled over and over again that government has no obligation to provide